In my experience, remembering where God showed up in the past makes going through present challenges easier. With your eyes on Jesus, with remembering where God had shown up in the past, you're less likely to take matters into your own hands, and you're more likely to just keep on the path, even through its challenges. Welcome to Remember God, a podcast where we practice remembering God in the midst of trials. Hi, I'm Brenda, and I help followers of Jesus recall God's miracles to successfully navigate current challenges. Welcome to Remember God. This is a podcast where you practice remembering God in the midst of trials. If you're a follower of Jesus who's in a difficult season and finds yourself wanting to take control of the situation instead of trusting God, this is the place for you. This is where we will help you remember the places where God has shown up in the past, giving you the tools and the strength to navigate through today's challenges. I'm Brenda Savanhu, author of Memorial Stones, a guided journal for foundational miracles in your life. Several years ago, I found myself at the beginning of a wilderness season. Remember that song by Hillsong, Oceans? Well, God called me out upon the water where my feet would fail, and guess what I said? Yes. In fact, I distinctly remember praying Isaiah 6:8, which says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord asking, 'Who will I send? Who will go for us?' I said, 'Here I am, send me.'" Close quote. I said yes to God sending me. And yeah, I have learned since then that that is quite a dangerous prayer to pray. So if you are planning on praying that prayer, proceed with caution. Once I got into the thick of the season, this wilderness season I was in, there were a few problems I ran into. First, I thought it was going to be a short season, like 3 to 6 months. I could do 3 to 6 months in my own strength, but it lasted 2 years and 3 months. Second, I thought God needed my intervention in helping me through this trial. So I tried to take control. Yeah, at least twice I took matters into my own hands. And both times he let me do my own thing, but then eventually reined me back in. Three, I desperately wanted to exercise my faith, but I was inconsistent in reminding myself of what God had done in the past. And last, my local community was not as robust as I would have preferred. I only had one really good friend locally who would pray for me regularly and encourage me. But where I longed for that support from my church, I wasn't getting it. So I navigated that season and I kept asking God for help along the way. And because God is the God He is, and because He's faithful, He answered me in several ways. One of the first ways he answered was I just kept having this recurring thought of memorial stones. If you've read Joshua, the book of Joshua, chapters 3 and 4, it goes into the memorial stones. That thought just kept coming to mind. I remembered doing Beth Moore's Bible study many years ago. And in it, she talks about memorial stones. And so as I was going through this wilderness season, I kept saying to God, I'd like to do a project around memorial stones that will help me to recall the miracles so that I can navigate the present. Second, I was introduced to a woman who lived in a different state who was going through exactly the same season as me. And the thing was, I hadn't found anybody else who was going through what I was going through. So it was hard to relate to the people around me and the people I was talking to. So with this woman, we became fast friends and we found community with each other. Just being able to empathize with each other without explanation. We prayed together, we cried together, we laughed together. We held each other up through that season. And our connection grew into a beautiful, beautiful sisterhood. And we're still friends to this day. And third, I finally found a local community. Um, if any of you have heard of Beth Moore, whom I mentioned earlier, she has a ministry called Living Proof Ministries, just outside the Houston area. I saw an announcement on Twitter that they were doing Tuesday afternoon prayer hour for girls and women, and I was desperate for women to come around me and pray for me locally in person. So I would take that drive. It was about 45 minutes each way once a week because I was just so desperate for the prayers of seasoned praying women. So those are the things that just helped me along the way, that I discovered along the way. And after 3 years, 3 years after coming out of that season, God gave me the idea for Memorial Stones, my guided devotional journal, which is a tool to sit and reflect with God and ask Him how He showed up and when He showed up in your life by exploring the meanings of the names of the tribes of Israel. And we'll get into that in a different episode. So, why am I doing this show? I'm doing this show because I wanted to create a resource alongside my book to help listeners like you along the journey of remembering God in the trials. In my experience, remembering where God showed up in the past makes going through present challenges easier. The challenge may still be hard. I'm not saying it makes it completely easy, but with your eyes on Jesus, with remembering where God had shown up in the past, you're less likely to take matters into your own hands, and you're more likely to just keep on the path, even through its challenges. One of my former pastors back in Chicago used to say his mistakes were our shortcuts. And so he would freely share with us the places where he had made mistakes so that we wouldn't go through the same thing. And so I want you, my friends, to remember God quicker than I did. Remember the places where He showed up. You don't have to go through this journey of discovery that I went through that took years. But by listening to this podcast, by hearing the stories that are shared here, my hope is that you will get there quicker than I did, so that you can move into the fullness of your journey. So during the next several weeks, you will hear more of my story and the story of my book, how I wrote my book, Memorial Stones. And you will also hear the stories of my guests who've also navigated difficult seasons by remembering God. So, friends, join me weekly for new episodes of Remembering God, and sign up for my newsletter where you can get additional weekly encouragement. And we'll go on this journey together of remembering God through the trials. We'll talk to you next time. If this episode resonated with you, or if someone in your life could benefit from hearing it, please share it with them. It's important for us to know that there is community with us as we go through difficult trials as followers of Jesus. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter for weekly encouragement and join my Facebook group.